Alright, wait, am I good? Am I live? Am I here? Alright, bet. That was coming through, right?
That stayed on there for a minute, though.
Yeah. Bet.
If there's anything in here, can you come and
Oh, they figured it out.
Alright, here we go.
Okay, that's kind of weird. We can stop filming if you say your name.
serious?
Unless we're talking to Sirius Black, that's just not the right answer.
Everybody's out?
Dude.
Dude.
Dude is definitely not lingo that was used in the late 1800s.
I think tap on him.
Oh, shit.
What's kind of sad is this sequence right here is the only time anything at all almost got close to happening. So that, like, motion detector, I guess I need to explain the equipment. They used all of, like, the top-level ghost hunting equipment, the same kind of equipment we did, but, like, different brands, I suppose, I'm not really sure. But it's still all, like, the same general equipment. So that, like, motion sensor going off on its own for, like, a split second is legitimately the only time anything ever went off at all, really. And it's not strong evidence of a ghost being there, like, keegling it or anything. Now, the Estes method, which we did in our video as well, is where you put on the headphones, the blindfold, and you just go through the spirit box, which basically just scrubs through radio stations, and you'll hear words occasionally that cut through all the noise. And that's supposed to be the ghosts and the spirits communicating with you. And this is always like slam dunks for a lot of paranormal teams because you start really grasping at straws, connecting dots that have no business connecting. And when you do it long enough, occasionally you'll get really lucky where you ask something and what they hear on the radio kind of correlates to what you asked. But it never happens often and it's never convincing because the second you ask for something specific, you don't get it. So here, I asked for a name. It could have been any name. But instead the response was Sirius. And like I said, unless we're talking to Sirius Black from Harry Potter, that's not a fucking name. So if the spirit box is able to channel ghosts and let them communicate with us, why the fuck are they all lobotomized and can't answer simple questions or like use a single word that you ask for if they're able to hear you? It just doesn't make any sense at all. And then it just drops dude in there, which I don't think was very common lingo back then. I half expected him to say swag mode or something.
Man, this is
Swag mode.
That's okay. They might just be afraid of me. I won't look. Just make any noise at all, anywhere, if there's someone here. They turned the air off. That was pretty good. Damn, that was a good. That was a good loophole.
we just want one thing. We have a girl here.
Okay. Or you're right. Let's use Lana's bait.
Oh, they like that?
They like that. Alana, can you ask them a question?
What?
Or say hi?
Hello.
Like, no. Alright, we know.
I'm a girl.
They like girls.
That's big.
That's huge. If that didn't work, nothing will.
Honestly.
If there's anyone here, can you please come into the cells here and touch one of these pieces of equipment that's glowing? Walk through the door, touch someone, make a noise.
Don't touch Alana though, she has a boyfriend.
No, don't.
Everything just goes crazy. They're just really mad.
Doesn't matter. Because tonight we're digging them all up.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
We've already done great strides in that. I've learned a lot. To think a mere 3-4 hours
Believe
ago,
it?
I didn't believe in it.
Yeah.
Now look at
I
us.
just said believe it.
What was that? Say it again, Spirit. Just repeat it.
2 meat babies.
Problem here, because now
Oh my
it's
God,
2 ghost
I can't. Part of the
investigations
video,
that
I
I've been
can't.
on with nothing happening, doing everything by the book from all the professionals and, you know, emulating all of their techniques, even in similar places that they've gone. Nothing. I mentioned before, like, maybe I'm just like Mob from Mob Psycho, where I enter this building and immediately all the spirits are exorcised, which is pretty bad for business for any place that is like selling haunted tours of the facilities or anything. Like, if I show up and just immediately de-haunt it, that's probably gonna make them pretty fucking mad. So maybe it's a power that I wield subconsciously without knowing. Like, the spirits just immediately just get vanquished.
Sim, if you're here, we brought you a bouquet of flowers. Here you go. Hey, Sim.
Can we
That's so funny.
Hey, Sim. And I don't know if this is really going to help, but we know that you your wife's throat with one of these, so we brought you one.
To move two guys right here, they would ask him questions, and they would ask him to move his hands if he was still alive. And turns out...
No, not that. What he did. That story's tragic.
The flowers are insane. That is tragic.
Not that. I don't know. I've got a bucket, a shaver, and
It has a bouquet of flowers while holding a straight razor, and I brought the poo bucket. It's gonna be a party.
If it doesn't summon a ghost, I just don't know what will.
if there's anyone here, speak clearly to our friend.
Faithful. Are you human?
Speak clearly to our friend.
Vehicle.
We heard there's a entity called the Crawler.
You asked if he's human and he said vehicle.
Are we talking to Optimus Prime?
Wobbly poles? There's no way. Someone else has got to do this. I'm absolutely hearing an advertisement. It's just saying call now. Like, I heard that 3 times. Someone else has got to jack in, because that's a bunch of gobbledygook in there.
All right. It's hard to talk when you're giggling about everything you're about to say.
It was just straight up mumbo jumbo. Mumbo jumbo.
This is making me realize we do some pretty silly shit in these horror videos.
Yeah, we're insane, dude. If we don't get anything, I hope you know there will have to be a part 2.
I'm so down. This has been so f***ing fun.
Mumbo jumbo is the best way to describe it. Are you human? Vehicle.
You speak.
Firm anything.
I don't know. Let's find something else real quick.
Do you know what's in your cheap protein powder? Well, here to tell us is all-natural fitness athlete Paul Sklar.
All right, let's see what we've got.
A lot of the time, video games aren't meant to be high art. They're meant to serve a purpose, and a lot of the time they do. But sometimes, they're just way stupider than they need to be. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on Game Ranks, 10 of the dumbest games ever. Starting off with number 10, Nathan Morgan Dilemma. It's the world's worst detective.
Never heard of it. No idea what that is.
Versus the most incoherent criminals in Nathan Morgan Dilemma. Wait, you're telling me you don't know about the world-famous detective Nathan Morgan? Strap in, folks. There is so much to talk about here. So, the professor has been murdered, and it's up to you, world-famous detective Nathan Morgan, to investigate the clues, interrogate the suspects, and crack the case. In theory, that's what's supposed to happen. In reality, you're wandering around completely lost, pixel hunting for clues that seem to appear randomly, while trying to decipher some utterly incoherent dialogue. It's all pre-made assets and AI voiceover, which would suck in a real game, but when combined with the 3 times through Google Translate caliber script, it ends up comedy gold.
James and Richard served the Army at the same time, same place, and when Richard was drummed out, James employed him in order not that he becomes homeless.
Well then.
Nathan Morgan is apparently some kind of super detective, but it's not supported by...
Can't let him be homeless, dude. This just...
anything that happens in the game. Simple concepts seem to elude this man. The maid complains about her job, for instance, and our boy Nathan's takeaway is to loudly wonder why she still works here if she hates her job.
Something is dilemma I can't see. Both she complains about her job and she stays in the same place. I need to find out the reason.
Nobody ever does a job they don't like. I've never heard of that, ever. Oh, wait, that's right. Every job before game ranks.
I didn't realize how loud that was, dude.
Whatever. Let's move past it. The gaggle of idiots in this
Oops.
mansion are
That
not
should be
much
better.
When asking the mother if she
Well, we
gets
both
along
said
with
better
her
at the
kids,
same time.
She says this absolutely baffling line.
First of all, I just want you to know that I am a mother. Just as a mother is to her children, I am to them.
Oh, yeah, that's really... what?
That
When
should
you
be
use
good.
Like or as, it's a simile. Okay, so her simile is that she's like a mother. Just like a mother is to her children, I am to them. I am a mother. I am a mother because I'm like a mother. Not good logic, actually. Whatever. We're going to move past that, too. Things get really spicy when you ask the mother how she argues with her daughter. Seems like a normal enough question, but she counters with this all-time whatever this is.
Her fucking badass boyfriend changed her into money grubbing. Her father wasn't giving money to her by reason of that bastard.
Amazingly, everyone just calls this
What
guy
the
a
fuck?
badass. Like, they love this dude. You never see him, but apparently he's a real beast. And according to an actual
I wasn't expecting that at all.
with this all-time whatever this, and it's not that I.
Oh no, I didn't mean to do that.
Counters with this all-time whatever this is.
Her fucking badass boyfriend changed her into money grubbing. Her father wasn't giving money to her by reason of that bastard.
Amazingly, everyone just calls this guy a badass. Like, they love this dude. You never see him, but apparently he's a real beast. And according to an actual line in the game, doesn't even have to be around to give his girlfriend an orgasm. That's a real line. I'm not making that up. Someone says that in this game. Which, by the way, I don't need to hear the word orgasm in a game ever. Give me all the curses you want, but awkward, stilted dialogue about
Ditto.
orgasms. Not
Like,
my
nope.
thing. I
I'm
mean,
good.
it's my thing if we're talking about how funny it is, but if we're regarding this as serious art, no. The more you play this game, the more obvious it is that Nathan is just a terrible detective. People give this guy layups all the time, and he just doesn't follow up on it. Like the kid, who, by the way, is not normal as hell. Another line from the game, folks.
The boy
he
is
leaves
not
a
normal.
drawing with blood and graves on it, which is pointing to a spot that you'd think would be a good idea to investigate. But for some reason, you have to ask like 3 other people about the drawing before our brilliant detective decides, oh, maybe I should look into these graves that this child depicted so grimly. It's not out of the ordinary for children to
Hold on.
draw graves with blood. That's not questionable behavior at all. No, I need somebody else to figure that one out for me. Also, make sure you find the shovel so you can dig them up and see what's buried there. But wait, there's also a pistol just sitting there. Wasn't there before. Went back, checked. Just appears when you try to dig up the grave. So you find the murder weapon, but then your guy gives up on digging the grave. Apparently, he went through the ADHD program for detective work. And by that, I mean a program that instills ADHD into your detective work. Not like one that compensates for it, which I think would be how a program probably should work. But whatever, I don't know. This guy's the expert, right? Sure, the crime scene's on the stairs, but no, we need to not bother investigating that. Oh, everyone says they were sleeping during the murder, even though you know that the professor died from gunshot wounds. You know, loud gunshot wounds that come from guns that make lots of noise. And don't pull like an, oh, he used a silencer excuse with me on this one.
Silencers are so cool. I've never shot a gun with a silencer. But I would like to. That should be really cool. It should be fun as fuck. It'd be crazy to like shoot something that powerful and like not hear anything.
We're talking detective games. Those should understand that silencers don't actually silence anything. And get this, this game is barely an hour long. And if it was any other game, this would be hours of content that this much weird is in. But I've talked this much about a game that is barely an hour long.
So what? Was your boyfriend here?
There's no need for him to be here to make me an orgasm.
Logan, are you ready?
You ass.
Fuck yeah.
And number 9 is Dinner Date. You probably heard of the walking simulator. The genre of games where you walk.
Oh, you know what, dude? Dang. I should have, I'm about to buy you.
That's pretty much it. You walk and you look at
I'm
stuff.
not gonna do it
People
right
have
now
argued
'cause I'm
whether these
streaming,
sorts of
but-
experience
but
games
actually,
really
no,
count
yes,
as
I
video
will.
games at all. But I don't really care about that here. Here comes Dinner Date, like
Maybe I will,
walking
actually.
simulator. Who cares about that? This is a sitting
lost my-
simulator.
Okay, story time. So, I lost my phone the other day. That's the story. And because of that, I was about to just buy premium on my phone. Forgot I can't do that.
That's the game. You play as a sad sack schlub sitting in his dinky little kitchenette waiting for a date to arrive. You can press certain keys to trigger context actions like look at the clock or look at the kitchen, all with this tragic loser incessantly mumbles to himself. That's the game.
I don't know, just eating bread by myself here. If I had just let it be dancing with the guys, I might go.
You sit there, you press buttons and do nothing, and you wait until the game decides to transition to the next thrilling twist in the story. Sounds boring, but strap yourself in for some excitement. He drinks a glass of wine, eats some bread. No one will be seated when he drinks a second glass of wine. Slow down with these epic set pieces here. I can barely keep up. At the end, it seems like the date's finally here, so he rushes to the door, but it ends in tragic disappointment because, of course, it does. Have you seen these hands? There's no way they're modeling an actual human woman. That's it. That's the game. Guy gets disappointed and decides to go out. He got drunk after 2 glasses of wine. Roll credits. It takes less than 20 minutes to play through this whole thing. Is my life more enriched by this? Did I learn something new about the human condition? No.
Yes. Yes. Not no. Of course.
Oh, I pressed some buttons, listened to a dork complain about his life insufferably, and it cost me $3.99. It's not a lot of money or anything, but I still might as well just flush it down the drain. The only redeeming factor about this whole endeavor is that for some reason, a dinosaur comic strip plays a certain role. Remember when webcomics were big? That takes me back. Is this whole thing some kind of elaborate troll? I don't know.
It's an
Trick
Easter
question,
egg.
though. Doesn't matter. Whether it's intentionally a joke or not, you're a sucker.
Damn! I can't stand she didn't show up. So much depended on it, didn't it?
And number 8 is The Fast and the Furious Crossroads. What happens when you take a dumb but entertaining movie series and take out everything that's entertaining? You're left with what's dumb. A Fast and Furious game could be great for obvious reasons. Cool cars, big explosions. Just make a big open world driving game with more guns and you got something. But that's
It's like a combination of Need for Speed and Burnout. Like, that would be lit.
not what Fast and Furious Crossroads is. Instead, it's a hyper-linear game where the driving sucks. On top of that, the story's a total flatline. Nothing makes any sense. It sucks. The game starts off with a spectacularly goofy car chase against a G.I. Joe playset tank with flamethrowers.
We need to take out that flamethrower.
Yeah, well, you try it driving blind. I can't see a thing here.
Look for the 3 fuel tanks on the back.
I see them.
Use the harpoon to pull those tanks off.
Now that's amusing, but that's all the game is. Amusing. That first mission pretty much introduces you to all of the gameplay that you will see the whole time, which boils down to drive to a location while literally nothing is happening, drive to a different location, crash a few cars. Sometimes you gotta press a button, do a mini game, use a harpoon, hacking device, rocket launcher, whatever. They're all functionally the same and do the same things. There are races, but those are basically just driving to a location too. There's no mini map, because why? What would you need that for? There's no map. It's just an endless series of linear corridors you can't escape from.
Sheesh.
There's a few set pieces to spice things up. That's it. The only thing left to actually engage with is the story, and it's terrible. Instead of focusing on the characters from the movies, which would have cost more money, this game introduces two
He looks so crazy. He does not look like Vin Diesel at all.
new and
Who is that?
extremely boring characters to follow. One hates technology and the other, get this, likes technology. One tells terrible jokes and the other doesn't have any discernible character traits. One's black, one's white, one has long hair, one has short hair. Oh my god, wow. Wow, what a dynamic duo. Sure, Vin Diesel and Rodriguez are sleepwalking through their brief appearances, but at least listening to Vin mumble his way through expository dialogue is amusingly dumb, instead of just boring, which the rest of the game is just boring. There's so much nonsense in this story, like how the family has a small army of armed Interpol soldiers at their beck and call, where they just sort of pretend like they're not there. Also, this gigantic armored train appears out of nowhere, which is... I don't know how the bad guys were able to make a train that's so quiet no one heard it coming, but they were able to hide the train tracks, and the train is so surprising that the heroes immediately forget their entire entourage and just pretend they were never there.
Something's not.
I feel like I've heard about this game, but I'm just not fucking remembering this shit. Like, I feel like it's some Mandela shit for this one.
Right.
Like, I feel like when I was little, I'd probably spin this game
There
at
is
GameStop or something like that.
electromagnetic energy in that pyramid.
That's what I feel like it
between-
is. Dude, the ads are crazy.
Get back!
The game's full of just total nonsense like that. Under a microscope, nothing that's happening makes any kind of rational sense. Now, with the movies, you can overlook that nonsense because you're going to get some spectacular action sequences, and genuinely, the movies are fun. For everything that's wrong with them, there's something they do right, particularly just in kind of oozing personality and community even. But this game, all it has to offer is some of the floatiest, most unsatisfying
Look how
car
deserted
combat I've
that
ever
is.
experienced in a
It's
big budget
literally
game.
just a, like,
There's some
desert,
funny
like-
stuff, but there's a lot of boring padding to get to it, and it's not worth that. I'd say stay as far away from this game as you can, but it's fine. You don't have to worry about it. It's been delisted. Couldn't play it if you wanted to.
Why? Why do games get delisted? Like, come on, bro.
And number 7 is Ride to Hell Retribution. To give this game some credit, it's at least a little more ambitious than Crossroads. You can actually walk around on foot. Does that necessarily make it better? No, it's actually worse. A lot worse, and somehow dumber. You know you're in trouble the minute the game starts up. There's this really awkward cold opening where they cycle through a few epic moments in the story, presented
Epic.
in the most stilted, awkward way you could possibly imagine. You're firing a turret, and now you're in a QTE fist fight, and now you're jumping on a ramp, which is supposed to get you all
Over a
hyped up, but
helicopter.
it doesn't. Just fills you with dread.
Damn.
He plays Jake Conway.
Damn. That's badass.
A weirdly proportioned slab of meat who is, of course, after revenge. The actual plot
Oh God,
doesn't
that's a
matter
badass
because
person. That's a bad boy if I seen one in my life.
it's basically your dude systematically killing all the bad guys with little resistance. The game's totally linear, split up between terrible driving segments and terrible on-foot action segments. Nothing feels good to do. A lot of the animations are embarrassingly bad.
You look like shit, Jake.
Yeah, I feel like shit, Mac.
Welcome home.
And the actual events happening before your eyes.
I
This is
feel
a
like
running
shit,
theme
man.
with this type of game, but rarely makes any kind of sense. Like, look at the driving segments. They're just these endless stretches of road that don't actually connect anything. You just start in the middle of the road, you drive forward for an arbitrary amount of time, and then the mission ends. Just ends. Even though you're supposed to be in the middle of nowhere, there's so much construction and crashed trucks blocking the road.
Benson's.
And random bikers, they want to kill you. They're there, and they want to kill you. The bike
he's
controls,
shitting while
of
he's
course,
on
are
the bike.
terrible. And the combat,
crazy.
laughable. You just sort of press buttons if you touch a bad guy, and then they immediately choose death and drive straight into a nearby picket fence, which somehow causes their bike to explode. The shooting is just regular terrible, but the real highlight of the awfulness, it's the sex scenes. Like I said, I don't want to hear the word orgasm in a game, much less see a sex scene. And it's not that I am a prude or anything, it's the uncanny valley. While they've certainly got past a lot of stuff with that, they have not cleared this hurdle. And for all the cringe that overly sexual dialogue might be, sex, much more cringe in a video game. Like the best sex scene in a video game out there. It's off. There's something weird about it, you know? And this ain't the best. And it's
It is.
not even close. Every so
Like a
often,
game.
Jake
we're not
Conway
here for
will
that.
just randomly encounter a woman, and you like beat up a guy or something, and then the game immediately cuts the most awkward video game sex you've ever seen. Oh,
What
and did
the
I
heck?
mention the music that plays
Good God.
during these? Yeah, you know, stereotypical porn music. That's it. It's that.
What the fuck?
But if there's one moment in this stupid game that's really burned into my brain, it's the part where Jake Conway needs to get over an electric fence. This is legendary in how insane it is. What does our boy do? Does he crash his car through the fence? Does he shoot the breaker box like Metal Gear Solid? No, what are you? Are you stupid? He does the obvious thing and hijacks a fuel truck, gets into a high-speed car chase with the police, drives into a power plant, kills all the workers inside the plant for some reason, then blows up the truck. And
Sounds
it's not
accurate.
to like
Sounds
destroy the
accurate.
fence, it's to turn the power off for it. It's one of the most bafflingly stupid sequences I've seen in a video game. I could not believe what I was privy to. And number 6 is Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe. It's a game where it's hard not to laugh when you, I mean, literally when you see it. Like, whose idea was this? It's the combination you've all been asking for. Like, yeah, Marvel versus Capcom is kind of precedent. Capcom's made a few Marvel fighting games. It got Darkstalkers, it got Street Fighter, and all that stuff. The Capcom universe, to some extent, makes sense. Hey, we got all these different fighting games. Let's combine them. Mortal Kombat is a fighting game, and DC Universe is not a fighting game. It's the DC Universe. And literally the only reason this game was made was because Warner Brothers had access to DC characters. The Mortal Kombat brain was pretty much in the toilet, and they were throwing ideas at the wall, hoping something
I've never played any of these games, and they actually look kind of cool.
might stick. I don't know why this was what they went with. I don't really see a Mortal Kombat.
I had Injustice once, but I mean like the physical version, but it didn't work. My homie had like my homie like he sit around the corner from me, and his house caught on fire, bro, and it burnt down, bro, and like everything in that bitch was fucked up. And we went back in there after, obviously a couple of days after, just to check shit out, and that game was there, and it was perfectly fine. Well, it looked perfectly fine, but it didn't work, obviously. I was like, damn, that was I never played Injustice either.
Missing all of its unique features, sticking to the wall, so to speak. Fatalities were neutered. Blood is barely there. The heroes can't even do much of anything Mortal Kombat.
Damn.
And like Mortal Kombat, the DC universe, they're like oil and water. They just don't work. Characters like Batman and Superman are explicitly against killing. It's a large part of their thing. So you put them into a game series famous for death animations, and I don't know what did they expect? What did they expect? They replaced fatalities with the much lamer heroic brutalities. But that doesn't mean that the fatalities that were in the game were less lame. They actually were as lame. And that's not the only stupid thing about the game. Mechanically, it's a mess. It's got this weird 2.5D combat system with 3D arenas but 2D movement. There's
I see.
multiple
So it
transition
changes
gameplay
sometimes.
segments where you're falling or getting smashed through walls that are
It looks
very
cool.
awkward. The fighting system
probably doesn't
feels
feel good.
stilted as hell.
Yep.
It's just not a good fighting game. The DC heroes look terrible too. Just the most
Ew,
generic,
he looks
forgettable
old.
versions of these characters. The story mode is, you guessed it, very dumb. They just explain
I'm talking
away
about-
every fight with combat rage, which makes everyone want to fight for some reason. Ah, look at him. His brain is poisoned with rage to the point where he can't control himself, but for some reason he still doesn't kill. Makes sense. But at least they did try a story mode, which gets a little slack because it was the first NetherRealm story mode. But yeah, it's really dumb. It's not unplayable bad or anything, but as far as fighting games go, it's one of the most inexplicable crossovers out there. It's two great tastes that don't go together.
Yeah, it looks whack.
And number
It's a
5
cool,
is crying
it's a
is
cool
not
little
enough.
ground,
You know you
though.
got a winner when there's two separate attributed quotes less than 4 minutes into the game. They couldn't pick one. We needed to hear from Mario Puzo and Ayn Rand. The vision demands it. Crying is not enough is a horror game that really wants to be Silent Hill 2. They also want to be Hideo Kojima with all the fourth wall breaking arcade game stuff and a weird military story, but Kojima, the director, was not. Say what you want about Kojima, but when it comes to game design, he gets it. And this game doesn't. This is an embarrassing mess. Stop me if this sounds familiar. Guy in a green jacket is searching for his missing wife. Only this time, instead of just going into a foggy town, our hapless heroes recruited into a secret mission to infiltrate a military island. Sure, why not? That's when the actual game starts, and man, it ain't pretty. It's like Resident Evil if the map was way too big, with respawning enemies and no clear direction as to what you're supposed to do or even where to go. Sometimes doors are walls, sometimes they're doors, and it's not really...
I really enjoyed Resident Evil 2. The remake, it was so good, bro. When I played that shit, I was so impressed. Like, it was so good. That shit's really good. And I've never beat 4. I got to, like, kind of the end. I never played the remake. I'm talking about the OG 4. I have it, though, on my Switch.
Possible to tell by looking at them when they are. You gotta bump up against them. Certain triggers can just break, forcing you to restart the whole game over again. Huge mess.
Shit. Oh, shit. What a scare.
Story overwrought and stupid, but the ending is what makes the game legendary. The epic finale where the main guy confronts his father, who exposits for several minutes straight while our guy just stands there dumbfounded.
He
Big twist
looks
is revealed.
crazy.
The entire time you want a revenge, but also your wife want a revenge against you because you're from completely made up countries or something. It's a convoluted mess, but how it's resolved is just absolutely perfection. Your wife presses a button and they hit explosives on the main guy and he just blows up. Fool! And we get to watch as his head, which is literally the head model removed from the rest of the body, as in there's a straight line where his shirt once was, gloriously tumbles through the air as the music swells.
This is so corny, bro.
It is one of the most absurd things I've ever seen in a video game. A+ for absurdity's sake. And
That's
it's supposed
crazy.
to be serious, which makes it much funnier.
What, man? That's so funny.
At number 4 is Balan Wonderworld. This is one of those games where every step of the way, all you can do is just wonder, what were they thinking? What caused them not to do good? Just so much what is going into this one. So much makes no sense from a story or a game design perspective. It's one of those things that looks like a real game from far away, but the more time you spend with it, the more it leaves a scratch in your head. Like, did you know they released a book tie-in for this game? There is a book for this little kiddie game that barely has a story to begin with. That is the first of many very
Balan
bizarre choices.
Wonderworld.
Perhaps
Balan.
not even the weirdest. Let's talk about the one-button control scheme. What I'm sorry, but that is just too simplistic. You can literally do one action in a certain costume, that's it. And you can't even jump on command unless you've got a costume that lets you jump.
Hey! Poof!
It's extremely limiting. Like, it makes the game feel like it was designed for literal babies. But then there's cutscenes that deal with more complex emotions that, I don't know, babies don't understand. Babies are kind of best known for thinking people are gone when they put their hands in front of their face and then are surprised when the person opens their hands like a door and says peekaboo. That's what babies are famous for. So, seems like this game is a little much for them. The level design, totally bizarre as well. All the ghostly figures that follow you around, they aren't charming, they're creepy. And everything's dancing all the time. It's not charming though, it's definitely creepy. It's hard to explain, but their movement's just so weightless and awkward. Like they motion captured the movements of a real person and slapped it onto a cartoon. The music is quite good, but everything else feels very lifeless and uncanny. There's a lot of other bizarre choices, like the fact you can't even play as the titular character. There's a lot of extremely boring QTE minigames called Balan's Bout, where you, I guess, sort of control Balan, but that's it.
It looks so generic. It looks like I would never. It does it bad. Alright, we're gonna watch something else for a little bit, and then after that, we're gonna play this game.
Disclaimer. The purpose of this video is an educational documentary providing authoritative news reporting on historic events in a journalistic context. All of the opinions in this video are mine alone. Everything in this video has been taken from publicly available sources, and any footage used is covered under the doctrine of fair use. We have made every effort to ensure the accuracy of our sources, but I am not responsible for content that third parties publish. Content warning. This video contains themes of violence, death, and gang activity, but every effort has been made to censor this video in accordance with YouTube's advertiser and community guidelines. This video features no violence on screen, no explicit language, and no hateful language. If you want to see extended versions of my videos with much more detail, please visit patreon.com/TraplawRoss, where you can watch the director's cut for just $2. But if you're not interested in that, hit the subscribe button and get ready to hear one of the craziest stories ever told. This video made use of AI to dub the audio from Punjabi to English, but we have not used AI to change or alter anything anybody has said in this video, and all of the words that you hear are direct translations of the original speech. India's probably the last place you would think of when it comes to gangster rap and drill music. Most people would think of the birthplace of gangster rap, South Central Los Angeles, where the Bloods and Crips reign supreme, or the birthplace of drill music in Chicago, where gangs like the Black Disciples and Gangster Disciples fought a bloody war that made its way to the lyrics of rap songs. But if you followed my channel closely, you'd know that every city around the world has a hood, and in most hoods around the world, there are gangsters doing dirt in the streets and gangster rappers rapping about it. I've covered the gangster rap music scene from LA to Chicago to Stockholm in Sweden and Sydney in Australia, but today we're going to be taking a closer look at one of the most high-profile gangster rap stories that you might have missed. Because in India, a country with a population of 1.4 billion people, one rapper was able to stand out above the rest and become the voice of the streets in the most populated country in the world. That man was Sidhu Moosewala, the gun-toting gangster rapper who brought the energy of modern-day Chicago drill to Punjabi language music in India, pioneering a whole new style that made him the voice of the new generation of youth and changed the way people saw Punjabi music around the world. But Sidhu Moosewala would become famous for more than just his music. His gangster persona became infamous across India and the world at large, and he seemingly truly lived the lifestyle he rapped about. Moosewala was obsessed with guns, covered in tattoos of firearms, and he would constantly be seen in the media toting high-powered weapons.
12-bore shotgun. I've got the system, I've got the semi-autos, everything, slowly getting everything together. I want to repeat the things that you have a passion for.
He would be slammed by the media for alleged glorification of weapons, and he would receive numerous charges for things like shooting on camera. However, Sidhu Moosewala got to the point where he was so beloved in his country that the cops would let him fire their rifles, and he would end up getting fined for it. But unfortunately, Sidhu Moosewala also had his enemies. A high-profile beef with another Punjabi artist, Karan Aujla, saw diss tracks and threats being thrown back and forth between the two artists. However, beyond the music industry beefs, what made Sidhu Moosewala's story so much more powerful was his plans to get political. His mother was a politician named Charan Kaur, who won the Sarpanch election for Musa in December 2018, the small village where she brought up Sidhu. But after finding fame and fortune in the music industry, Sidhu decided in 2021 to try his hand at politics too, and Sidhu himself ended up running in the 2022 Punjab Legislative Assembly election, a controversial campaign that Sidhu ultimately ended up losing. It may well have been Moosewala's large ambitions that ultimately made his downfall, as less than a year after his controversial attempts to get elected in politics, he would wind up being assassinated. Just like the pioneer of gangster rap in the West Coast, Tupac Shakur, the Punjabi megastar, singer and politician, was shot dead in the front seat of his car. It's both the way he died and the way he lived, with a desire to use his gangster rap music to influence politics, that had people calling him India's Tupac, or the Desi Tupac. Eerily, Tupac was one of the reasons that Sidhu actually took a liking to the hip-hop sound and begun making music, with Sidhu rapping in one song that his stars are aligned with Tupac's, a line which may go deeper than he could have ever imagined. Because even more crazy is the fact that one of the last songs that Sidhu released while he was alive was the track The Last Ride, which came with a cover art.
Tequila.
People believe Sidhu Moosewala is very fond of guns. Yeah, that is true. If you are fond of weapons, I ask you, which weapons do you keep? I have a 45 caliber pistol. Several shotguns.
Before Sidhu would meet his own tragic fate. So today, we're going to take a closer look and tell the story once and for all of the brilliant rise and tragic fall of Sidhu Moosewala, India's Tupac Shakur.
People believe Sidhu Moosewala is very fond of guns. Yeah, that is true. If you are fond of weapons, I ask you, which weapons do you keep? I have a 45 caliber pistol and several shotguns. They have filed cases against me about guns and showing violence. In my opinion though, I believe our culture
The black one skibidi. One skib. One skibidi. One skib. One skib boy. So Tiggy. Tiggy, you wanna say hey to the stream?
revolves around guns.
Revolve around guns?
Do you like weapons as a
passion.
means of self-defense, or are you just fond of them? At first it was just a hobby, but now it has a purpose.
I've seen people come, I've seen people go. This guy is definitely here to stay. He's a bad boy lyricist. He's an
bad boy
amazing
lyricist.
performer. And he is none other than Sidhu Moosewala.
Punjabi rapper Sidhu Moosewala has recently decided to go into politics. He claims he wants to fix living standards in Musa and Mansa.
He is not just someone known in Punjab, he is an international figure.
A gang war that spread across Punjab, Delhi's Tihar jail, and across 7 seas to Canada. At the center of this gang war is this group of men led by Lawrence Bishnoi.
My parents have taught me not to just sit there and take it. My parents taught me, if somebody shows you attitude, you teach them a lesson.
My parents told me, if someone shows you attitude,
Sidhu
you teach
Moosewala
them a
would have never
lesson.
imagined that one day
His parents
he would
showed
fall
him.
prey to gangsters himself.
They're just so
Hello, brother. You guys are full of wisdom. Please, why does someone come to our holy place and pray?
My parents
Cut me
told
some
me
slack.
attitude, lesson.
What are you doing? Why are you pushing? We have come to pay our respects to the Guru.
He said, why are you pushing?
News just coming in India today has accessed CCTV images from Mansa in Punjab. That cold-blooded murder of singer Sidhu Moosewala.
Goli Bral's confession number 2, where Bral has said, yes, I did kill Sidhu Moosewala. Goli Bral further confirming that Sidhu enjoyed unnecessary power and I wanted to teach him a lesson and therefore I got him killed.
In just 4 years, 28-year-old Sidhu Moosewala had become a Punjabi hip-hop global icon. He was attacked by gunmen and killed in Punjab. Sidhu's father, Balkaur Singh, has chosen to speak about the pain they've endured since the world lost an artist and he lost a son.
The Bishnoi gang has taken responsibility for murdering Sidhu Moosewala, claiming that Vicky Midukhera was their brother and they have now avenged his death.
Sidhu Moosewala was born Shubdeep Singh Sindhu on the 11th of June 1993 in the village of Musa in the Mansa district of Punjab, India. The last name he adopted for rap, Moosewala, actually means that he belongs to the district of Musa, with Wala actually meaning belonging to, a practice commonly done by Bollywood stars looking for a stage name. Mansa is a rural district located in the Indian state of Punjab in northern India. The district is roughly triangular in shape and is bounded on the northwest by the Bathinda district, on the northeast by the Sangrur district, and on the south by the Haryana state. Mansa is well linked to other cities, particularly the Indian capital New Delhi, by an efficient rail and transport system, and the population of Mansa district stood at approximately 800,000 based on the 2011 census. But Sidhu's home village of Musa stands at a much smaller population of around just 4,000 people, with it being located just 10 kilometers south of the district's headquarters, Mansa City. Now, the last census was taken all the way back in 2011, and the government has delayed another census year after year. I mean, 1.4 billion people, how are you gonna keep track of those? But anyway, the Mansa region saw the arrival of the Aryans, Greeks, Persians, and Mughals, each of whom contributed to the region's cultural heritage. But being within the Punjab region, the most common heritage and religion among the Mansa district is Sikhism. In terms of religion, Mansa has a significant Sikh population of around 77.75% of the overall population there. And Sikhism is a monotheist religion believing in one God and general principles that lead to a good life, such as treating everyone equally, serving and protecting others, and removing the oppressive caste system out of India. Now, due to Sidhu's family and religious background, these Sikh principles were often carried into the topics of his music and his appearance, hence the turban or dastar that he wears to cover his uncut hair. One of the Sikh principles is understanding the importance of weaponry and the defense of others. The Sikhs famously carry the 5 Ks, one of which is a small sword known as a kirpan. The reason being that the sword can be drawn as a last resort in the face of any danger or to protect others. Essentially, Sikhs can be trusted by the general population to protect others if there's a chance of danger. And Sidhu's religious backgrounds and principles would explain a lot of the topics that he chose to include in his music, as Sidhu later explained exactly why he raps about weapons so much in his lyrics, an approach that ultimately attracted the attention of the law, with multiple gun cases being filed against him during his career. He would explain that his culture revolves around those 5 Ks, with the carrying of a weapon seemingly extending towards firearms. Sidhu would explain that he actually believes that guns are not the problem, and it's who is using them and what they're using them for that's the issue. And he asks the viewers, or people that don't understand, to look into the background of the Punjabi region and the Sikh people.
10 years ago, singers were booked in cases for vulgarity in their music. They used to measure a girl's waist and look in her eyes. I don't have such cases. They have filed cases about guns and showing violence. Now it's back to the same thing. Everyone is entitled to their own opinion. My opinion is, you tell me, our culture revolves around guns. revolves around Sri Saab. I'm going to ask you a question, and all my brothers watching. Whenever in our country, specifically in our state of Punjab, whenever the Prime Minister comes, a foreign diplomat or MP from another state comes, why do we give them Sri Saab? Is Sri Saab not a weapon? Sri Saab is fine there, but if someone picks it up, then it's wrong. It is right.
At Mint Mobile, we like to do the opposite of what Big Wireless does. They charge you a lot.
Even the gurus have us to always be armed.
It all depends on the mind of the person when the Sri Saab who has the gun, if he or she is using it for the right cause or not. What is right or wrong? We are mere singers. We are incapable of telling you right or wrong. You see, all the intellectuals talking about guns, they're smarter than me for sure. And they find things to criticize about me. I don't mean to offend. I request them to look at our background, what our culture is made of, the fundamentals of our religion.
So it's just win or loss?
Maybe then they will understand.
The history of the Sikh people and the area Sidhu is from gives a much deeper insight into his warrior mentality. In the 18th and 19th centuries, the Mansar region was controlled by various Sikh rulers, including the Sikh Missals in the Sikh Empire. And Mansar itself has a rich history within Sikhism's warrior culture. The Missals were the 12 sovereign states of the Sikh Confederacy, which rose during the 18th century in the Punjab region in the northern part of the Indian subcontinent. This is cited as one of the causes of the weakening of the Mughal Empire prior to Nader Shah's invasion. In 1849, Mansar came under British colonial rule as part of the Punjab province, which essentially led to a decline in wealth, education and produce within the region. The area is also rich in culture, with many Sikh and Hindu celebrations occurring yearly, along with the production of Bhangra music. With sprawling farms and massive landscapes, the area's economy and lifestyle is primarily based on agriculture, with farming being the main source of income for the majority of the local population. The area actually being dubbed as the area of white gold due to the mass production of cotton there. And the name Sidhu itself actually derives from the Jat clan within Punjab and Sikhi. The Jat people are associated with agriculture and farming, hence why Sidhu uses such imagery in his music videos to pay homage to his Jat heritage. For example, tractors often appear in Sidhu's music videos, like in the one for the track Tokam, a song named after a popular tractor towing game that's also popular in Punjab. And in the video, Sidhu would rap surrounded by tractors as if they were the Lambos you would usually expect to see a rapper in front of, making for a very unique flex in the music video. And on the track, he raps about having a dope sound system on the back of his tractor, along with bars about lifting the front tires to face God, and threatening to drag his ops from the back of the tractor as they play with him. And tractors were also a big part of his promotional campaign for his 2021 film, Mr. Jat. Sidhu would even explain in one interview how part of his love of tractors is actually the power that it gives to the driver, with him even comparing it to having a gun in your hand.
One of your tractors has a decal powerful. Is there any special meaning behind it?
It's just when you feel the special power of the tractor. For me, it's similar to guns. Whatever someone is fond of. Some people get high by drugs. I am into iron. I'm into machinery. I'm into weapons.
It's interesting to hear Sidhu compare his love of tractors to guns, as he is truly obsessed with firearms. Guns and ammo appear frequently in his music videos and on his social media posts, and he would even discuss his love of guns and the large arsenal of weapons he was cultivating in a 2020 interview.
Weapons, yeah, I do like them. I have a 45 caliber pistol. I have a 12 gauge shotgun.
Yeah, I'm good on this, brother.
It's all according to the laws. Semi-auto and all of that. I'm growing my collection, just adding things that I'm fond of. Now I want to buy a repeater, so just slowly growing the collection.
Perhaps it's that Sikh heritage and his warrior mentality which has caused him to take a liking to all manner of weapons of war. And this is something he would also reflect on in detail in one interview where they asked him about his obsession with firearms, with him explaining that he carries them for self-protection and that he just likes them.
People believe Sidhu Moosewala is very fond of guns.
Yeah.
Recently, the head priest of the Akal Takht has instructed Sikhs to keep listen weapons with them. Do you like weapons as a means of self-defense, or are you just fond of them?
First, it was just for a hobby, but now it has a purpose. When you spend time in a profession, you start observing things. Like the saying goes, I did not ride the wedding's horse, but I have seen many people.
Yeah, they growl at each other. Dang, dude, he's about to beat his ass, bro. No, he is about to beat his ass. I'm about to do the $50. Yeah, my bad. My bad. Yeah, I know, my bad. Jake. Ooh, baby. What the fuck? What?
That's a good one. You say you're gonna bleed.
You both.
You have his greed and you're gonna bleed.
They all sound like they're smoking hella cigarettes and drinking Bush. It sounds like they're starting up an engine.
I thought it was your brother.
Literally sounds like an engine starting.
Bro, Mike Perry's gonna whoop his ass. That's what I think. I mean, the minute you see him, he looks scarier, bro. I mean, it looks like the nigga.
Yeah, nah, Jake's scared low key. He's trying to act like that was a facade there in the beginning, but that was no fakeness. The fakeness was him trying to act like he was not scared. Yeah, I'm gonna have to throw some. Throw some dollars on that shit, dude. I might have to throw the whole fifth. I don't know, man. I'll do 30 for sure.
Elsewhere, he would critique the
I'll do
demonization of
38.
weapons, emphasizing that weapons are indeed
For NBA
historically
Youngboy.
important for Sikhs, and explaining the importance of mental discipline over weapon regulation.
They already knew that it was a requirement of the time to add knowledge of weapons to
Wapa!
enlightenment.
Wapa! Like George Lopez. Wapa!
Mughals will torture us. Nadia Shah and Ahmed Shah will plunder us. Our gurus had the vision to think about this, and based of that, added weapons to our 5Ks of Khalsa. And now for the past 40 years, we are being misinformed that weapons are bad. Our next generation are dancing on TikTok and making reels. They're being told weapons are bad and you should be scared of them. Why shouldn't you put your hand on one?
That's crazy.
It's on my waist. It doesn't automatically go and shoot someone. When our mind is not trained, how will we stop our hands?
I hope not.
The truth is the entire problem is our minds. Yet we are focusing on weapons and licensing. We are told to stay away from weapons because we are a border state. But they are not willing to treat our border state as one of them. Our very own boys from this state, 25th Sikh Regiment, is fighting at the border. You are telling some people to not pick up weapons. Then why are you asking them? No one really wants to speak about this topic at all.
Yeah, literally,
All
he
the
looks like
reporters try and come here and portray we are all about
yeah, he looks like
weapons.
to do that like being
Sidhu's view on
sharp
carrying
type
weapons
shit.
and
Like
violence
literally,
in
like
his
that's been
music
off the
is that
rocks
he
since
sees
like
it as a
20
way to
years, and
engage
he's still going
If our
like,
head police
like
order
on
Sikhs to
God.
carry illegal weapons,
Yeah,
then that is
like he
all
never
that
got
matters.
anything harder
It
than the
doesn't
rock
matter what
seeds,
someone
but
else
he
is saying
stuck to
and
the
what our
rock
guru
seeds. Yeah.
has instructed us
He's
to
really
do.
rocking
It's an
with
even
those
higher
things.
command from the head priest, and I will follow it. I've been saying this for the longest time. Keeping weapons is not wrong, but using them to loss to someone, rob a bank, or point at someone's head is not right. But there is no problem in just keeping weapons.
His faith and his beliefs are a very personal part of his music.
Yo, Sidhu is out here with these ulterior beliefs, bro. He's out here with them libertarian beliefs, bro.
And his motivations
He's
in
out
life.
here
The
for
Sikh
the
Jats
people,
were
bro.
known as a large majority.
It's not libertarian. I'm not political.
The soldiers who took a stand on the front line opposing the Mughals. However, despite the strength of the Sikhs that live there, the Mansehr district has had its fair share of problems ever since the British rule. This includes difficulties and deficiencies when it comes to economic development, education, and healthcare. The literacy rate of the Mansehr district is shockingly low, and according to the 2011 census, only 55% of Mansehr were literate at the time, lower than the national average
That's
literacy
crazy.
rate in India.
That's crazy. That's crazy. That's so crazy. You would think more people would know, like, be literate. That's wild.
Which was 74% in the 2011 census. This could possibly be explained by the region's farming culture, as its residents may not believe in the education system, as they mainly rely on their own self-sufficiency. Now, the Mansehr district also has some government-run hospitals and health centres, but the quality of healthcare there is indeed a concern. In Punjab, there are only...
Dude, I gotta pee so bad. I'll be right back.
Only 0.46 hospital beds per 1,000 inhabitants and one doctor for 8,900 people. And this large inequality causes deficient levels of healthcare for the locals that live there. And this is even worse in proportion to the Mansa Civil Hospital, where 20 doctors are expected to oversee 500 patients. The government has acknowledged these issues, but the progress there has been slow. And these are the challenging circumstances that Sidhu Moosewala grew up around. Clearly his religion, his native lands, and the principles he'd had instilled in him growing up had a huge influence on his path in life once he found his way. But before he found fame and fortune and decided to use politics in an effort to improve situations where he came from, Sidhu Moosewala's first love was music. From a young age, Sidhu cultivated a keen interest in music. He began singing in the 5th grade at his primary school and even managed to place number 2 in a singing competition.
I was in a talent show in 5th grade. That's hilarious.
A lot of people, especially kids in countries outside of India, wanted to know when Sidhu began singing.
I have been singing since the 5th grade. I took part in a singing competition and came 2nd place in the district. That was the beginning. Then I got to university and continued it.
5th grade.
The rest is in front of you.
What was your first song?
First song I sang folklore. I sang folklore of Shahid Udham Singh and Baba Banda Bahadur. That's how I started. Then I did some folk songs of Bhangra.
Did you learn music from someone?
I did learn music from a lot of great artists. But I was not a classical singer. My teacher was from Ludhiana.
His love for hip-hop started in the 6th grade when he was about 11 years old, with his favourite rapper being Tupac Shakur. He was also trained in music from his early years at the Harvinder Bittu Music Academy.
Hello, I am Sidhu Moosewala, and I am here with my teacher, my father in music, everything. I have been learning at the academy and I'm here with everyone.
And Sidhu would continue practicing his singing alongside his intense academic career, eventually pursuing electrical engineering at Guru Nanak Dev Ji Engineering College in Ludhiana, where he would graduate in 2016. Sidhu studied there for 5 years, and he would even take one extra year as he didn't want to leave the dorms because he was getting so much love from his fellow students. And it was here at the college that we can see one of the early examples of him singing and honing his skills as a performer.
They're going crazy. He's snapping.
When you're craving a vintage evening, any evening,
He be going in.
After graduating from school in Punjab, Sidhu would then move to Brampton in Ontario, Canada, where he became an international college student at Humber College. And Sidhu has since shared that he was forced into moving because of his family. Sidhu didn't even want to leave his native country, but his uncle's son was going and he was made to join in.
After your studies, you went abroad. How did that happen?
It was due to my family. I didn't want to go. You know how it goes. If my uncle's son is doing something, I have to as well. First it was the degree. I told them I can't study that much. But no, if he did non-medical, I had to do non-medical. If they can study, then so can you. We sent you to the same school. Do you have a deficiency? I used to think, where have I been placed? I somehow passed high school. For the non-medical and for the degree, I crammed up lessons a lot. I did my degree with honors. And then they asked me to do a proficiency test to go abroad. I did that while completing my degree and passed that one too.
How many bands you score?
6.5 bands. I did it without any classes. My family would ask, how am I going to pass? I would tell them I am only responsible for taking the exam. The examiner chooses whether I pass or fail. Like they say, do the deed and don't worry about the fruit. I don't know how I passed.
Bro, I feel that. There were so many times in fucking school, bro. I feel that.
Say Sidhu is proficient in English?
It's fine. I can get by.
But during his stay in Canada, Sidhu would finally begin taking music seriously after being encouraged by his friends to produce songs after they heard him singing.
Come on, baby. Hey, he be snapping, bro. He said,
soon after his migration to
switched it
Canada,
up there,
Sidhu's
that was raw.
networking and musical talent landed him the opportunity of a lifetime, and before he knew it, everything would change, and he would be in the music industry making hit records, and taking his first steps on the path to becoming one of the greatest musicians India had ever seen. Before we go any further into the video, I just want to make a quick announcement. The Traplaw team is hiring. So if you want to get paid to sit on Reddit and do research about your favorite rappers all day, every day, then head on over to intelcartel.org and fill out the application form. I'm hoping that we got some real Reddit disciples out there that actually want to make some money, join the team, and help me make the magic happen. So intelcartel.org, go over there and apply, and hopefully see you soon. After moving to Canada to continue his studies and sharpen his skills as a singer-songwriter on the side, soon Sidhu Moosewala would have the opportunity of a lifetime to break into the music industry, when he would land a massive placement as a songwriter when he wrote the track License for another Punjabi rapper called Ninja, being credited prominently on the cover as the writer under his given name Shubdeep Sidhu. Now sitting at over 20 million views, the track became a hit, and Sidhu's talent for songwriting was undeniable. He would later perform the song himself upon his return home to Punjab at his old GNE college. Sidhu then spent the next year honing his craft and writing skills, garnering up a list of massive singles of his own. Eventually, he would release his debut song from his collection of recordings, a track titled G-Wagon, which came out on the 2nd of July 2017. A track which was a sudden hit that quickly put Sidhu on the radar of Punjabi music fans. The song itself was a much more traditional Punjabi pop song, and Sidhu, whilst displaying his talent as a singer, hadn't quite yet fully fused his style with the American hip-hop elements that would later make his music so unique. But he had begun his solo career,
So
and
at
from
first,
here he would continue
so at first, brother was just singing.
developing as an artist song by song. From there, he would slowly put out 9 tracks that comprised his debut album, with him improving and evolving each time. This was an unconventional release strategy, but it worked well for him. His next track was Mustang, which would circulate later in July 2017. Now, the beat
Yo, what a clean album cover.
itself was a very generic American hip-hop beat, but it's kind of like a crappy stock beat from like Hip Hop EJ from 2016. But Sidhu took that beat and he sung and rapped in his native tongue Punjabi, with the end result being incredibly original. Despite being a Punjabi track, thematically, Sidhu's music was dealing with topics much more at home on an American gangster rap album. Fast cars were becoming a clear motif, with his 2 tracks released so far being inspired by cars popular in America, the G-Wagon and a Mustang. Sidhu would also rap about his ops chasing him with their foot on the gas pedal as he clutches a Draco, the gun beloved by drill rappers from all over the world, with Sidhu claiming that his Draco sings the tune of his enemies' funerals. He was spitting. Mustang would be followed up by more music like the track Lifestyle featuring Banker, which leaked in late July and was uploaded to YouTube in November 2017. The track titled Lifestyle was a stark look at the street lifestyle that Sidhu had grown up living, with references to armed conflicts with his ops, revenge killings, and living and dying by the gun. He would rap that his AK-47 keeps an eye out for him, as well as having guns and bullets tattooed on his body. He'd talk about having a gangster state of mind that runs in his blood and killing any ops that stood in their way, with Sidhu rapping all about sticking people up at gunpoint and how the country boys used to run their town. Sidhu was jumping on the mic and talking gangster like a real drill rapper, and people were loving it. All of this momentum was leading up to a breakthrough moment. Sidhu was honing a unique musical style, blending the Punjabi flavor of music with gritty lyrics about the gun-toting street life he grew up around, and soon the world would wake up to this unique style in a big way. In August 2017, Sidhu released his first breakthrough single, the astronomical hit titled So High. The song itself now sits at over 750 million views, by far one of his biggest songs to date. This track reached numbers that many of the mainstream artists in the West would dream of attaining.
That's so many fucking views.
And the track
this goes to show the scale of India, though. India is so big. That's wild.
Itself was a textbook example of why they call Sidhu Moosewala the Tupac of India. It had a booming beat that was like a timeless American rap beat, and in his bars, he was rapping about American tropes like having lowriders and appearing in the video surrounded by gangsters in what I assume is the trenches of Canada. The song itself painted a dark picture of a life of crime and violence in a way that few Punjabi musicians had done before, rapping about guns, claiming his hobbies are dangerous and life-threatening, with Sidhu claiming to keep loaded pistols on him and making the local gangsters fear him. Sidhu also seems to show a certain amount of self-awareness on the track, explaining how his gangster approach to music has landed him big record deals in Canada, and he goes on to brag about how dropping 4 singles in a month had other pop stars intimidated by his monumental rise. And Sidhu was spitting facts. In the space of just a few months, having released G-Wagon, Mustang, Lifestyle, and So High, he had become one of the most buzzing prospects in the Punjabi music scene. So High set the standard for Sidhu's career, and he essentially cemented his legacy, as this track alone almost birthed an entire new genre of Western-inspired Punjabi music, as he would mix his hybrid singing and rapping style over traditional folk Punjabi instruments and melodies, combining that with Western trap 808 beats, much more at home in an Atlanta strip club than a small Punjabi village. The song So High resonated deeply, and not only in Punjab itself, but also with the westernized South Asian communities living in the West, such as in the UK, particularly Canada, where Sidhu had studied. And Sidhu was seemingly a genius at blending this Western gangster rap culture with his native Punjabi elements, and he did it in a way that unlocked a new audience of over 1 billion people around the world. One great example of this actually occurred just 2 months after dropping his hit song So High, around the time of Atlanta rapper 21 Savage, who was going viral for his interview, where he famously described the tattoo on his forehead, saying, "It's a knife."
What does the cross on your forehead signify? It's a knife.
Sidhu would go on to drop a new song with a Punjabi play on words based on 21 Savage's
It's a
catchphrase,
jat.
"It's a knife," with Sidhu's new song being titled It's a Jat. Featuring violent lyrics over a booming trap beat, It's a Jat now sits at over 90 million views. And of course,
damn.
When you die, you go to another life. Maybe heaven, maybe purgatory, maybe hell. These are...
Of course, Jat doesn't mean knife. Jat actually refers to the landowning class in Sidhu's native Musa in Punjab, with the implication being that these are the tough, hard-working people who are warriors, with a suggestion that some of these Jats are indeed hardcore gangsters too. And in the lyrics, Sidhu raps about pulling up on his ops, with them running scared and screaming, "It's a Jat." The song itself contained numerous lyrics and references to guns. Sidhu would also talk with confidence about his career, bragging that he's stealing the fans' hearts with his prolific run of dropping 9 songs in 15
He's
days.
stealing the
Following
hearts.
success of It's a
Cupid, bro. Oh my.
Jat, Sidhu wasn't about to take his foot off the gas, and in early January, Sidhu would drop another major hit in his catalogue, the track Just Listen, which now sits at over 211 million views. The song itself was a boastful affair, less concerned with lyrics about violence, more focused on Sidhu standing up to his haters, and explaining how his work rate has the music industry hateful and jealous towards him, as well as hinting at the greatness that was on the way for his music career. This was a breakthrough moment for Sidhu on an international level, as Just Listen ended up becoming his first internationally charting single, landing at number 12 in the UK's Asian music charts. And from here, Sidhu continues his spree of hit singles with 3 more tracks. 2 of those songs, Tokan and Famous, also landed on the same charts at number 20 and 17 respectively. The love song It's All About You was very much for the ladies, which had a music video dropping on Valentine's Day 2018, a video which today sits at over 115 million views. By this point, Sidhu was getting his first live show bookings, but these weren't without controversy, as people would turn up to protest against his vulgar and violent lyrics. However, the controversy was only helping Sidhu cultivate a bad boy image. Sidhu would continue his momentum with his next single, Tokan, which had a huge budget music video. The video dropped on May the 17th, 2018, and today has a whopping 340 million views. The tractor-themed video would pay homage to his farming roots, with the song's hook using a slick double entendre to threaten his ops with being dragged from the back of a tractor if they cross him. The song was a unique Punjabi spin on gangster rap that felt completely fresh and exciting. On the song, Sidhu would sing and chant in his native Punjabi tongue about having shooters on his team, doing this over another unique beat that blended those Punjabi melodies with American hip-hop 808 drum patterns, making for a certified banger that doesn't sound like anything else in the West. But even more interesting was the outro of the song, where Sidhu would deliver an uplifting message reminding his listeners of their revolutionary spirit, and warning the listener that the people he represents aren't the sweet-talking businessmen who like to be flashy, but actually the down-and-out Jats who drive tractors and have short tempers. This was a kind of warning to the world that Sidhu is the leader and the voice of this working-class youth of Jats who he represented with his music. It was deep stuff, borderline revolutionary, and one of the most striking reasons that Sidhu Moosewala has been compared with Tupac Shakur. Because beyond making great music that spoke the language of his generation, Tupac also used his music and profile as a platform to promote promote political messages of black empowerment. His music was intended to uplift and electrify his generation of inner-city youths in America, and that was perhaps what made Tupac so dangerous to the establishment. Sidhu's next banger was the appropriately titled track Famous, and the song itself was kind of Sidhu's own announcement to the world that he was indeed famous. It was one of those songs where a rapper goes from next up to actually up. By this point in his career, Sidhu had truly arrived, and in the song he would rap about the fact that people now pay to meet him, and now he has haters burning with jealousy, as well as having losers trying to be famous by trying to fight with him. And this was all true, because by now, Sidhu Moosewala was a huge star. His next song, Dark Love, with a video released on July the 6th, 2018, today has an insane 177 million views. And this video depicted Sidhu as a kingpin executing his ops, as well as rapping about being a killer who fell in love and how his G-Wagon had been used in murders, suggesting that he's now got that same G-Wagon following a woman. Now, whether or not Sidhu Moosewala was actually arranging murders at this point is debatable, but what was true was the fact that since he became the hottest thing in Punjabi music, he had a lot of people pissed off, and in the midst of all of his musical output, a rivalry was brewing in the scene that had the potential to turn violent, and soon, fans who wanted to crown Sidhu Moosewala as India's Tupac might have just found their Biggie Smalls. Despite Sidhu Moosewala earning the crown as one of the greatest Punjabi rap stars to do it in a very short space of time, he was by no means the first or only artist to occupy this space. Karan Aujla is a Canadian Punjabi artist who, just like Sidhu, saw a meteoric rise to the top of the music scene in the late 2010s. Granted, Karan Aujla had a head start on Sidhu in the music game, releasing his debut single Cell Phone back in 2015.
That's what I was thinking about. He's like, I was about at least 50 because I'm pretty confident that that dude is about to beat him up. Yeah, and it's like I could really, yeah, I can do it right now.
Largest cities
Let's
in
say I'm
Punjab,
streaming.
which
This
meant
will be fun. Oh, fuck it. What's his name? Mike Perry. Yep. Ew.
Carolina's running away from him. His hair is like all gone and stuff.
Yeah, look at it. It looks crazy.
Look at the picture of them facing off. I don't really judge by the size, but Mike Perry's big, bro. He has the most. I don't understand why the odds are the way it is. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. I'm trying to take advantage of it, so I was gonna tell you. As soon as you figure out how much you want to do it, I'm gonna probably bet my place. I'm gonna place my bet as soon as Brittany answers, in case they change the odds for whatever reason.
Right.
I'd be pretty pissed off.
So if I do 40, it'll be what, 160? Times 4, right?
I think, yeah.
Because honestly, from 120, from 126 to 140 is kind of cool. No, I don't know. I should probably just do 30. That'd be smart. I'll do 30. I'll be smart. I'll be happy if I win $100 bucks, bro. Yeah, on God. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna bite my ass.
Meant that Karan's upbringing was a lot different from Sidhu's. Famous for its apparel industry,
I don't bet that often, so hopefully we can make this shake.
Ludhiana has sometimes been called the Manchester of India, because in the UK, Manchester is kind of England's next largest city after London, and it's been known for centuries for its cotton and clothing production. So Ludhiana is basically the fabric hotspot of Punjab.
Manchester.
Famous for collections of fabrics, woolens, hosiery, even the textiles equipment that are exported to various other parts of the country. So think about the contrast between these two guys. Sidhu is from a small village. Musa is known for being a salt-of-the-earth, tractor-driving street kid. Whereas Karan actually grew up in the city, surrounded by more people and fashion. It's a completely different world. Just like Sidhu, Karan had an early interest in music, especially lyricism, and he would get his start ghostwriting for other established artists. After starting his career as a lyricist for Jasai Gill's song Range, as well as Gill, he was a ghostwriter for Mangat, Garan Kokri, and many other prominent artists in this space. However, again, just like Sidhu, after initial success and seeing his songwriting lead to hits, he would become a solo star in his own right, and his 2016 debut song, Property of Punjab, put him on the map musically. The video itself had some similar motifs to Sidhu's, like a tractor working in a field at the start of the video. But Karan walks from that tractor straight to a mansion surrounded by supercars. Which kind of goes to show you, even from his debut song, he wanted to present the image of moving away from the fields of the working class to the flashy life of cars and mansions.
You don't want the tractors. You don't want the tractors, bro. She said fuck the tractors.
What Sidhu Moosewala was trying to do, staying in touch with his working class roots and identifying proudly as a Jat. From here, Karan Aujla would build up an incredible buzz in the Punjabi music scene, releasing track after track on an impeccable run that put him on the map very much in the same way as Sidhu when he started his career. Karan would drop tracks like the female-focused Yarian Shafiq, as well as a song called Unity, which also came with a West Coast hip-hop inspired video actually filmed in the hood of LA's Inglewood. From there, he dropped the party track Alcohol 2, a sequel to another collab he'd done called Alcohol, and Lafafe, the latter of which was reportedly a diss track aimed directly at Sidhu Moosewala. This song would come out in March 2018, but it turned out that their beef had apparently started behind the scenes back in 2017. The pair were apparently cordial together until sometime in 2017, a leaked video of Sidhu threatening Aujla would cause tensions between them to rise. According to Ellie Mangat, an artist whom both collaborated with, a video was leaked to Karan's management.
Sidhu was off the chain, bruh.
This apparently caused back and forth violent threats between the two, and around this time, Karan released a new song called Up and Down, which he wrote for an artist called Deep Jandu. And the song included several lines which could be interpreted as disses towards Sidhu, hinting at being betrayed by a loser former friend and calling out somebody for acting like a lion but really being a snake. At this point, these were just little behind the scenes jabs, which music fans wouldn't have likely picked up on, but that would all change when Karan Aujla decided to drop his song Lafafe on the 15th of March 2018, a track which today sits around 30 million views and was the first public escalation in this beef. Lafafe translate to envelopes or polybags, a reference to somebody giving bribes to get ahead, with this potentially being a sneak diss at Sidhu, suggesting that he actually paid to get ahead in the music industry, portraying him as some kind of industry plant, as well perhaps a way of dragging Sidhu's supposed future ambitions in politics by kind of labeling him as a corrupt, with the hook of the song basically saying that they will burn the envelopes that Sidhu used to get ahead. But things would go much deeper than just the title, as many lyrics on the track appeared to take subliminal shots at Sidhu directly. The song begins with a sample of Sidhu singing the lyrics of Sanam Bular, the other artist featured on this diss track, so kind of calling Sidhu a fan, with Sanam Bular then dissing Sidhu, calling him a fake gangbanger, as well as mentioning people imitating Tupac, who famously was indeed one of Sidhu's biggest influences, as he would claim that he would beat the Tupac imitators with hockey sticks. He would then lean into the tough guy persona on this track, rapping about having goons in his crew and saying that half of his friends are in jail and the rest are on the run. Karan Aujla then begins his verse, taking shots at Sidhu, calling him a fake gangster who looks up the names of guns for his songs on Google. He would call out his haters and say that his ops envy him and he loves making them mad. Now this track was a major provocation, and at this point the beef was publicly frying. When Lafafe dropped in March 2018, Sidhu was still on an impeccable run of dropping music, so he wouldn't officially respond to the track for a few months until after he released his latest hit song, Dark Love, in July 2018. But then, later that same month, after dropping that mainstream hit, Sidhu would get on Demon Time and prepare his response to Karan Aujla. He would then unofficially drop his response, Warning Shots, on the 20th of July 2018. The song features a frequent collaborator of Sidhu, Sonny Moulton, on the track. Sidhu directly responds to Lafafe and says that he actually made it to the top off the back of his hard work, rather than through envelopes or polybags that were mentioned on the diss song. He would then claim that Karan Aujla makes music only when he's smoking weed, and that the weed has ruined his ability to see that Sidhu is clearly better at rapping. Sidhu then references the leaks that surfaced online that caused this beef, saying that his unreleased leaks are better than Karan's official drops. Sonny Moulton then takes shots at Karan Aujla on his verse, questioning his street credibility and saying that he's not about that life. He then invites Karan to Brampton in Canada to show him a real gang block where they actually kill people. He'd even threatened to shoot, rapping that his gun loves smoking and that he wants to take it to Amsterdam. Sonny then
every month, this Airbnb pays me in semi-passive income. Now here's the thing, I don't own it.
Rebuts the lyrics that were mocking Sidhu for being inspired by Tupac, saying that his ops are fans and they plan to ride on their ops just like Tupac did on Hit 'Em Up. Sidhu then directly mocks Karan Aujla and Sanam Bular by referring to the music video for Lafafe, mentioning the scene where they show them beating up a group of men with hockey sticks, with Sidhu claiming to have made the guys in the videos with the sticks move with just one phone call, perhaps hinting that he can make a call and have real demons with hockey sticks pull up, or he might be saying that he called those specific people after seeing them in the video and pressed them. Next, Sidhu denies learning about guns that he raps about from the internet, saying that he always stays armed, and claiming that he has the heart to shoot and get shot at. Something that's eerily prophetic, as it was reported that Sidhu was actually the only man to shoot back at his attackers on the day that he was killed. Then Sidhu references the Up and Down song that Aujla wrote, saying that this song is a direct response, and that's followed by Sidhu claiming that he will check anybody who disses him. Now, this track was a major response and set the Indian music scene on fire. Fans would comment how this beat had catapulted both artists at the time and sparked far more interest in the Punjabi music scene than ever before. But now, other than threats sent back and forth between camps, this beef stayed primarily in music. However, it did create a large divide between both fan bases and caused a lot of fans to pick a side. Many discussions over who was the better artist would take place after this beef popped off publicly, with most people clearly choosing Sidhu Moosewala as the better artist and the winner of the beef. But at this point, these two artists were huge in the scene. Essentially, this beef would be like the current Kendrick Lamar versus Drake beef, but for the Punjabi scene. And naturally, this brought a whole lot of extra clout and attention to both artists. And Sidhu's next move off the momentum of this beef was about to be huge, because on the 18th of October 2018, Sidhu Moosewala released his first full-length album, PBX1, and he did it with the support of T-Series, India's biggest music label, and at one time PewDiePie's biggest op. Now, the cover art of PBX1 perfectly encapsulates
How is he PewDiePie's biggest art?
Sidhu's unique style. He'd be crouching on the front cover, rocking his turban, but with Western clothes in front of an American lowrider. This was the quintessential gangster rap for a Punjabi audience, and a completely unique and authentic look at the modern-day globalized Indian youth culture. Now, the production on this tape is much more focused on the American trap-style drums that match Sidhu's aggressive singing and lyrical content, but it still maintains that authentic Punjabi culture in the vocals and the melodies that make the project feel completely unique and fresh if you normally listen to Western gangster rap. Now, the project PBX1 resonated with Indians all over the world and was a huge success, with this generally being considered a classic album in the Punjabi rap world. It hit #1 on iTunes for Indian pop music, and it hit number 66 on Billboard's Canadian Albums chart. This project went down as one of the great Punjabi projects, and arguably is Sidhu's best work. At this point, he was cemented as a megastar in the Punjabi and especially Sikh communities. He was beloved in India and by Indians around the world, and he would even begin to tour internationally off the back of So High and PBX1's success. But it wasn't just Sidhu capitalizing on the momentum of this beef. That same month, Karan Aujla would begin dropping a string of hit songs that really saw him break into the next level of the Punjabi music scene. In October of 2018, just 2 days after PBX1 released, Karan Aujla dropped Don't Worry, which today has over 180 million views on YouTube.
Damn,
a track where he continued to lean into the gangster image that he'd been cultivating in his back and forths with Sidhu. And in the lyrics, he would hint towards using guns and threatening to kill anyone who looks at his girl. There'd even be a verse from a woman, kind of playing the role of his girl, where she sings about being scared to tell him about her problems because he squeezes people like lemons. This kind of gangster love track sort of painted Karan Aujla as sort of the Ja Rule to Sidhu Moosewala's 50 Cent, with Sidhu kind of presenting the more authentic gangster image and sound in his music. And Karan Aujla would follow up with another hit song in February 2019 called Don't Look, which now has over 170 million views on YouTube. Another track where he got tough on the mic, rapping about catching bodies and people dying after going up against them, as well as there being hits on him. The track also had an American-themed music video with plenty of lowriders bouncing through the scene, and the beat even had a little G-funk vibe to it, but overall was sounding a lot more dated than Moosewala's modern rap-inspired Punjabi anthems. But elsewhere on the song, Karan would hint towards his beef with Sidhu, rapping about not getting along with artists. But he too was on a legendary run that would continue until the end of 2019.
He's not
Next
getting
hit dropped
along
on the
with
3rd of
artists,
December,
bro.
Cheetah Kurta, which translates to white tunic, a traditional ethnic clothing of Punjab, which Sidhu too can be often seen wearing. Now this song has almost 300 million views, and even some of the biggest rappers in the West struggle to get these kind of numbers. And to this day, it's rare to see a Karan Aujla track that doesn't explode internationally, and his most recent song, Nothing Lasts, managed to rack up 20 million views in just its first month. Sidhu had already gone on the run of a lifetime and cemented himself as a pioneering legend of Punjabi rap. But off the back of the beef with Sidhu in the year that followed, in many ways, Karan Aujla kind of caught up with him, cementing his own legacy with a string of hits garnering hundreds of millions of views. And despite the animosity between them, the beef had actually done wonders for their careers and images. However, in 2019, it would be a huge year for
That's what I would have thought, that like it would have got them both clout.
Sidhu too, but for reasons more than just music. Because just like Tupac Shakur, who he'd modelled himself on, Sidhu had ambitions beyond rap. With a revolutionary spirit and hundreds of millions of followers watching his every move, Sidhu would soon hatch a plan to try and create an impact that was much bigger than music. And so in 2019, Sidhu Moosewala decided to make his rap lyrics much more political, casting his eye to the world of politics as he started using his music as a plan to get into the halls of power and try and make changes in his country and community. But the only problem is, not everyone would be happy about this hotshot celebrity rapper getting political. Unfortunately for Sidhu Moosewala, getting into politics and dissing the government meant he would soon attract the attention of the most powerful people in the country, who weren't about to let a young upstart seize control of the culture. Before you knew it, Sidhu would be going to war with the politicians and fighting a battle that might be impossible to win.
Damn. Go
Off the
into
back of a
fucking
string of hit
government,
songs,
bruh.
Sidhu Moosewala had gone from a small-town kid to one of India's biggest music stars. He'd found fame and fortune through his talent, but interestingly, he wanted to do much more with this gift than just getting rich and famous. Sidhu would explain in an interview that he ultimately decided to get into politics to improve the circumstances in the village he came from, launching a bid to become the head of his village so that he could better direct the money spent on developing his community. Explaining that now he's rich, he would love to pay to feed everyone in his village, but he needs to do things in the official way to make true lasting change.
That is why we decided to contest in in the
That's
elections
real.
to be ahead of the village. Now we can do the work, but we are still limited. Whenever we have to pitch in personally, we are doing it. Now our gym is very important for the community.
People say there are other big villages in different districts. Some say Sidhu only cares for his own village.
You know, we used to think we would be able to do it all, but whenever you need to get a bill passed, it needs to go to the ADC, then to the MLA, and then whoever else after that. That's the issue.
Can't you spend it out of your own pocket?
How much can I pay from my own pocket?
People say Sidhu has a lot of money.
Tell me the amount that I should spend. If you say give 4 million rupees and everyone in the village will be fed, I will do it.
You left Canada and come back to the village because you love it so much. Is there something you're planning to do for the village?
Brother, I am already doing it. You know how people act when they come back from abroad. I am taking ownership of my responsibility and will continue to do so, whether we get the village leadership or not.
So you would always keep working towards the development of your village?
Yes, always.
Yes, Sidhu had become famous recording music in Canada. He wanted to come back to his humble village of Musa to try and make things better. And while it would be a few years before Sidhu would really immerse himself into politics, his political career started when he began campaigning on behalf of his mother, Charan Kaur, who was contesting for the post of Sarpanch, or president, at Musa village in the Mansa district. Sidhu would use his fame and notoriety to bring out fans and spread word of the campaign for his mother. And Sidhu was praised for attending the local campaigns regardless of his superstar reputation. He was credited by the Indian News for wearing his casual attire and remaining humble when supporting his mother, and the village would praise Sidhu for being humble enough to join them in person despite being a megastar at this point. Sidhu had shared the proposals for his mother's candidacy, including her plans to improve Musa with improvements to drinking water and sewerage in the village, and the family also agreed to take a harsh stance on the distribution of drugs within the local area, as in recent years, Punjab has been suffering through an opium epidemic which has resulted in many farms being ruined and families being subject to severe poverty, with stories of boys as young as 12 years old pushing drugs in the streets of the Punjab. And there's no lack of supply, as these drugs are mostly imported from Afghanistan, fresh from the source and extremely pure. Now this issue has become alarming, with the United Nations even commenting on how bad the situation's got. The problem is so rife that even pharmacies are allegedly dishing out opiates quicker than the dealers, with many not even...
That's wild, bro. That's crazy as hell. I didn't even know it was that bad there.
Requiring a prescription.
It's just like here.
It's been said that the government and or the police may even be playing a part in spreading opium in the community, sometimes referred to there as FEEM. And there'd been minimal efforts to tackle the problem and aid the region, despite the formation of an anti-drugs task force and rehabilitation centres. But the issue has become so normalised that some Punjabi politicians are even calling for the legalisation of opium, claiming that it's actually part of the culture. Sidhu and his family felt very strongly about overcoming the opium epidemic, and in one interview, Sidhu also shares this as the reason that he never promotes drugs or alcohol within his music. Sidhu understood his influence over the youth, and he didn't want to make getting wasted look cool. And this could well have been a subtle dig at Karen Aujla, who famously was part of a series of songs all about getting wasted, with a music video filmed in a liquor store called Alcohol. Now, Sidhu also shared his plans to star and produce in Punjabi movies with positive messages to the youth. And in just 2 years of being an entertainer, Sidhu...
Bro, that's super real, bro.
...had his eyes on the top. He had already cemented himself as a star in music, he was now getting his feet wet in politics, and even planning to take on the film industry. And forget about being the Indian Tupac, Sidhu was now trying to become the Desi Arnold Schwarzenegger. This campaign turned out to be a success, and Sidhu's mother would actually win the election, beating her rival by 600 votes, and indeed becoming the president of the village. And this shows the influence and power that Sidhu Moosewala's family now had over the local area. Even in the West, a female politician winning an election can sometimes be seen as a sign of progressive success. But in Punjab, this woman winning the election was a huge deal, and not everyone would be happy about it. During this time, news of Sidhu's success and brash style had become making the rounds internationally, with many media outlets voicing their negative opinions on Sidhu, showcasing guns and violence in his music videos and lyrics, with some journalists even calling out Sidhu and the other rising Indian rappers as fake gangsters, questioning their street credibility and suggesting they'd never even touched guns, with this Canadian news outlet bashing South Asian artists for rocking the gangster image. However, local statistics kind of paint a different story, suggesting that in fact South Asian gangs in Canada are in fact incredibly deadly, responsible for a third of the violence in British Columbia. Canada in fact has a very deep and dark history with Canadian Punjabi gangs. For example, the notorious kingpin Bindi Johal and the several murders that he had allegedly committed and was connected to. He would often appear in news interviews and walk around freely, with his gang empire described by one outlet as something like a start-up that scaled too fast. He was responsible for creating the Punjabi Mafia, who terrorized the streets of Vancouver in Canada through the 90s. His crew became infamous in the streets, and Bindi himself became so famous that he was actively being followed by news teams for updates on his murder cases.
Are you worried about your safety in India?
I never worry about my safety. My safety is no problem.
And what about the shootings last night?
Just move the camera, or you might have to worry about your safety.
Hey, get that thing out of the face, or I'll rip it right off your fucking head. I don't give a
okay? And then
He would go viral before being viral was even a thing.
I don't give a fuck, okay?
Telling news reporters that the streets need to be scared because he's still around.
These guys, you know, you got another thing coming. I'm still around.
Unfortunately, he's no longer around. And just like every other high-profile
Damn.
crime boss, eventually things would come crashing down, as Bindi Johal was eventually gunned down in a nightclub in 1999. Perhaps due to these past issues with violent gangs, the Canadian media would prefer to keep any violent influence off the streets, and that included Sidhu Moosewala's raps about shooting ops and toting guns. But at this point, he was just getting started, and after a wild 2018, having reached the top of the Punjabi music scene, and going toe-to-toe with another rising Indian rap star, releasing a classic album, and then using his fame to launch his mother into political power into his village, moving into 2019, Sidhu would keep that momentum going and set brave new levels for his music career. But the problem was, as he got more and more famous, he got more and more controversial, and his music would get increasingly violent with more and more lyrics about firearms, combining that with his secret.
Alright, we're gonna start playing Elden Ring, but my mom wants to borrow my Switch, so I'm gonna go out there and hook it up for her. Let me do that real quick. Boom, Elden Ring. Take that off. Alright. Oh man, I don't have audio though. Do I have to end it? I don't want to have to end it. I will though, I don't really care. Still no audio. Yeah, we're gonna have to end it. I think it froze anyways.